Hey, I wanted to talk to you today about pain because I think there is a feeling out there that pain is just something you're supposed to live with. I hear all the time people saying things like, oh, well, it's my age now, or, like I've had a bad back all my life and, that's just how it is. That's just how I am. And I want to get one thing across from the get-go. Pain is not something you're supposed to live with. You can nearly always work through getting yourself feeling so much better. Pain is your body's way of talking to you. I know that sounds a bit woo-woo, but your body is like this whole system of communication, and it tries to communicate to you all the time. And I don't mean about, oh, this feels tight, or that needs a stretch, or, whatever. I mean, like, it tries to communicate with you about the wider world, how it feels in your home, how it feels in your job, how it feels, about all this kind of stuff, as well as maybe telling you if your left shoulder blade isn't moving so well. And that's where it can get a bit complex. And, when we don't listen to our bodies, then the body starts to have to talk louder and louder and louder, until it becomes pain or illness. They're kind of similar. You might recognize that a bit better. Like if I really keep kind of beasting myself at work, eventually I burn out and I end up with a flu or something. And it's the same with pain. Like, it will literally take you down and say, hey, you're not listening. But I want to get across, it is not something you're supposed to just live with. So please, let's get rid of that mindset. And let's think about a few little tips that might be able to help you manage pain better. And the first one is about how you talk about your body, the language that you use in your body. Like, it picks up on that. So if it's like my bad shoulder, my bad shoulder doesn't like doing that. It's always going to be your bad shoulder or your weak ankle or your dodgy left knee. I remember the first time I ever heard this concept said to me. If you don't know me, I had severe problems with my left shoulder or the left side of my neck. And I felt like someone had taken away like the language that I could use, like I was like, well, what do I call it then? Like, but it is my bad shoulder. And I had to try and think of like different words, like it's my shoulder that's in pain currently, or my surgeried ankle, or, the shoulder that's not feeling too good today. Something that just gives it a bit more context of where it's at and doesn't label it as that forever. So how you talk about your body is how your body responds. So change your language. The other piece is that, chronic pain especially, they know this now from so many studies, it's hugely linked to your emotions. This doesn't mean that it's not real. All pain, you're feeling it, it's real. But it can often, it's often not just as simple as like a pathology, like my knee has got a bit of, breakage in the cartilage or whatever. Like, it's often not that, especially back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, things like that. They're hugely affected to our emotions. And, my experience when I'm working with people one-on-one in rehab setting, sometimes you get things moving and then people like have this flood of emotion, because our emotions, like, we store them in our body, we sort of pack them away and put them somewhere. And so that's often what's then happening. And, people will maybe start off by saying, oh, well, yeah, when I was, 22, I went to put the bins out and then I lifted this really heavy box and boom, my back went. Well, first thing, your back doesn't just go. It goes eventually from years of putting pressure there. But then you start to get to know that person more, and maybe they start talking, and then you're like, da 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 da, and then they say, well, actually, around that time, like, my mum died very suddenly. You're like, okay, so how much of this was the bins and the box, and how much of this might be that stuff and all the energy and emotion that went with that went somewhere in your body and is now showing up as pain because maybe you didn't deal with it. And that's why so much pain work, like, you have to kind of do some talking therapy with it, whether that's just with your family and friends or whether that's professionally. Like, emotions and pain are hugely, hugely linked. But one of the biggest medicines you can have, honestly, is a pain-free movement experience. Because a big thing with pain, long-term pain, chronic pain, is that the pain receptors have got overly sensitive. Kind of their dial's been turned up. And so, you know, you're feeling everything a lot stronger than maybe you would if the dial was turned down a little bit. Kind of makes sense, right? So when you have a pain-free movement experience, and that's what really we're about on this platform, giving you a pain-free movement experience, when your body can move and it suddenly has had, whether that's an hour or 10 minutes of movement that didn't hurt, it's like the nervous system goes, whoa, actually, like that feels way better. And it starts to, over time, turn the dials down. So pain-free movement is honestly the best painkiller you can give yourself. I've had clients over the years that, you know, one client always comes to mind when I talk about this. He'd had 20 years of very, very chronic pain. He'd seen every specialist known to man. He started seeing me, and then he used to say things like, Nick, you know, the night I see you, after I've seen you in the day, I sleep, I don't wake up in pain. And it's not really anything like magnificent that we've done. I'd love to think it is. But really, it's about he had a pain-free movement experience. His body understood, his nervous system understood it could feel easier. And the other piece to really know is that your body can literally do anything. It's always changing. Always. I see so many people and they're like, oh, I wish I'd known this in my 20s, Nick, I'm 55 now. I don't care if you're 85. You do it now. You do it now, today. You start making these changes because your posture is always changing. It changes to do with the environment we're in, how we're sitting, how we believe about ourselves, like whether we're, you know, if we're a really kind of confident person, our posture tends to be a bit more upright. If we're a really shy person, our posture tends to be a little more kind of down. You know, we're a reflection of ourselves and our environment and how we are. But that means it's always changing and you always have the power to change it, okay? So it's never fixed. They even now know that our brain is elastic. Like they used to think we were born with all the cells in our brain and that was it. That's not true. Our brain is constantly evolving. Our bodies are constantly evolving. And I say this over and over again, but what we do, what Pilates is all about, I believe, is about feeding your system, your nervous system, with information. And it's that information that then makes that change in your body. If you think about lower back pain, that's actually often about the global muscles doing too much. And I think that's another thing that can be misread about pain, is that I need to do more, I need to do more, I need to do more. Like I'm all about teaching people to do less, the body to be more efficient, to be easier. Because if the big muscles keep kicking in, which is what happens when you kind of try and beast yourself, then the local, small, tiny, really deep ones don't. Okay, and you know, people go, I need more core strength, I've got a weak core. Well, look, your core is certainly more than all this. It's at least all of this. To be honest, it's all of you, and it's about all of you working together. Big, small, medium, muscles, fascia, tissues, everything working in balance and in unison. And that's what you're trying to train into your body. And the thing is, the body is this hugely beautiful, complex system. I mean, it is so clever if you think about it. And I get a little frustrated sometimes that then we put these really sort of simplistic terms on your core is weak. You need to stretch your hamstrings. You need stronger glutes. And it's not to say that the approach to getting well is complex, but we shouldn't overly simplistic either, like simplify it either. We should be training the body to connect into its wisdom, that it knows what to do. And often we've overwritten the system. We've told it how to be. And what we're trying to do here is take away some of that, so you start unlearning those bad habits, and that the body can do what it's truly designed to do, so that it can feel really good, it can move like effectively, with ease, it can just feel really, really good. And then you're going to feel that you actually move out of pain. Okay, so they're kind of my key points around pain. The biggest thing is, please, from today, take out, you're not meant to be in pain. You can always, 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 I am proof of this, move out of pain and live a much fuller life doing all the things that you love.